It is the beginning of a new era here in Carolina.
Hey, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Did you say error or era?
Era, both,
Either one. Okay.
both.
Either one works.
The Carolina Panthers kicked off the NFL season today as the Las Vegas Raiders come into town and steal a victory that we really didn't deserve, though. 34-30. Teddy Bridgewater, the new savior, threw for 270 yards on 22 for 34 completion rate, one touchdown. Christian McCaffrey, the $64 million man, 23 carries for 96 yards, except when it counted, his team had no faith in him.
Alex, armor time. It's armor time.
There's a lot to talk about here, so I have my thoughts, of course, but I'm going to let y'all sort it out first. I know the angriest black man in Charlotte has a lot to say. What y'all think?
Oh, go ahead, Ryan. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna let you cook in a second, but I just want to
go ahead, man.
That defense is it's not good. It's not good at all.
You think so?
To Whitehead, man, like we had a stop. He tackles the guy, didn't even turn his head to try to make a play, and it's
that was a pivotal play.
Pivotal penalty, man. And
we stopped them there. We maybe win. Yeah.
And it's this year's gonna be a whole bunch of growing pains. Just get used to this feeling today. Like this was a game that we needed to win and that we should have won.
So today's game went exactly like I thought it would go. I don't know if you guys.
What you mad
I'm sorry.
What you mad for?
Man, listen. Let me tell you why I'm mad, son. Let me tell you why I'm mad. Because I predicted that we would see a lot of high-scoring games. I said that the Panthers were going to be an Arena League football team, and that's exactly what the hell they look like today. And a non-tackling, non-defensive, head up their ass Arena League team. It's exactly what the Panthers look like today. Before I get to the meat of why we lost, before I get to the obvious reasons why we lost, I just want to say I never thought in my wildest imagination that I'll be sitting here pointing to our linebacking core as one of the weakest links on this football team. The linebacking core, outside of Shaq Thompson, who only had a decent game, I don't even think he had a great game, was pretty solid. But the linebacking core as a whole was pretty horrible. To hear Tamir Whitehead, whatever his name is, that penalty in the fourth quarter, you got to be better than that, man.
Yeah.
For a veteran linebacker to not recognize his secondary help, for him to face guard the wide receiver in that situation, it's unacceptable, man. And it's frustrating to watch that kind of stuff on top of the missed tackles, on top of the obvious bad play call that pretty much did us in the fourth quarter, which I will have more about in a minute. Don't want to get to that just yet. But I'll say this, man. Offensively, I like the way we protected Bridgewater overall. I thought that was a pleasant surprise. I thought Bridgewater moved around in the pocket very well. He threw the ball accurately for the most part. He had some overthrows that our fans are going to overlook because, he doesn't wear fancy hats and stuff, but whatever. So going forward, man, I'm not too worried about us offensively, man, but defensively it was frustrating to say the least.
Pretty much.
So it's important to note that there was no preseason or limited OTAs, limited training camp. So you have to take this game with a grain of salt. It's really hard because this is a game we should have won. But this was essentially the Panthers' first preseason game. In situations like this, historically, the offenses have always had an advantage. I mean, if you look at the scores from week one, this is not 34-30 is not an uncommon result looking at all the scores across week one. So I kind of actually expected both teams' offenses to do well because both teams run the ball really well. And I thought, whose running game do you trust more? Us, we got the best running back in the league, or the Raiders, which have a great running game. And I figured that's what would happen because players are not conditioned that well. They didn't get a full preseason. So teams are going to be looking to run, tire out those defenses, and then use the run game to open up the pass. So it really honestly didn't surprise me that our defense was that bad, considering I just figured the Raiders offense would be that good. So that doesn't concern me all that much, considering first game of the season. And I really think that once our defensive line gels, that some of those issues will be sure. We only heard Derrick Brown's name once.
One time,
or twice. Yeah, right.
It's his debut game. But I think once he picks up speed and starts to learn stuff, I think we're going to see a better front four. We didn't hear Brian Burns. Where the hell was he? The Panthers didn't even have a sack today, I don't think.
No, they didn't.
Number 2 in the league in sacks last year, 0 sacks today. I think those issues will be shored up, and we'll see a better performance from our defense moving on. The secondary is always going to be a weakness, especially if Dante Jackson ends up being out for any extended amount of time. So it's just
next
that.
Week will be a doozy, man.
So I'm going to put this game on the coaching. I'm going to put it on Matt Rule, and we might as well dive right into this. Let's talk about the fourth quarter. I had my speech ready. I was ready to congratulate Matt Rule on his first NFL victory, and I was ready to
I knew better
on doing something that NFL coaches must do to win, and that is make the adjustments to win. And I felt like the Panthers looked like they had made a good offensive adjustment, and they were going to score, and then we were all going to be all happy about this meaningless victory. But he did, like all college to NFL coaches, he got cute. And it cost us. So your thoughts on how the coaching staff did this game, particularly that last series?
It's always like this franchise has a history of like end of game like letdowns. It's like in our DNA. We got to try to find a way to extract this. With Ron Rivera, it was clock time management. And I don't know, man. Like, how don't you give CMC the ball at that point? He like in the second half, he was cooking. He was cooking. Everything was starting to gel. And it's just like Alex Armour. I understand getting the fullback the ball, but you got to give your star the ball. He is the face of the franchise at this point. You have to feed him the ball and trust him enough to get the first down.
Let me say this, man. I'm angry and I'm mad today, and I don't want to be objective, but I will be objective today. I will kind of grade Matt Rule on some sort of curve today, for the reasons that you mentioned, Kaiser. No preseason games. You got all this crap going on. The shortened practices, all this stuff going on. So I will try to be fair today about Matt Rule, even though I don't really want to. All right.
Never fair.
Right. But I will say this. Defensively, I did see the Panthers kind of start bringing some delayed blitzes and some more blitzes in the second half. So the attempt at least was there. You know what I mean? I can't say that he didn't attempt to make any adjustments. As far as the fourth down call in the last play of the game, I just want to know what the thinking was. You know what I mean?
Hold on. Our friend Vashti from Carolina Blitz, she said Coach Rule said on the fourth down play at the end of the game, they ran the same play that got them the first down early in the game, and they felt like Armour would be able to pick it up. So what's your reaction to that?
That means nothing to me. That means absolutely nothing to me. Nothing.
In fact, that's got to be one of You can't say things like that. You better lie because you're telling me
right.
Run
the same play.
Get out of here.
That's not man. That
you better think up some story like, hey, I would have said, well, we thought about running the same play, or we thought about running McCaffrey again, but we figured they would key in on that, so we decided to say something.
So say something else,
Don't be
man.
like, well, we ran the same play earlier. To me, that shows that your situational awareness of the game is poor. You cannot run the same play you ran in the third quarter when the game was not on the line.
You look, listen, man. Matt Rule could get away with doing that at Baylor. You can't get away with doing that in the big boy leagues, man. Like these defenses look at that formation and they knew what was coming the entire time, man. They knew Armour was going to get that ball. Absolutely. They knew it. You know what I mean? So you, like Kaiser said, listen. Matt Rule is lucky that this is not year 3. And the Panthers are missing the playoffs again. He's lucky that's not the situation, because if I'm Tepper in that situation, we got to have a little meeting after you say something like that, man. Like it's unacceptable, man.
You know, I want to give Matt Rule the benefit of the doubt as a rookie NFL head coach, but that situation is one that every sports fan, every football fan we see it every week, and we saw it multiple times with the Carolina Panthers last season. And Ron Rivera came under heavy criticism for not running Cam Newton in those situations. That would be a situation in which we would normally run Cam Newton.
So gentlemen, I got a question for you. This is our first viewing of Teddy Bridgewater today in the Panther uniform. What did you guys think of Teddy?
I thought he is what he has been. I mean, he did exactly what I expected him to do. Nothing too flashy, nothing that's going to knock your socks off, but obviously serviceable. Obviously, somebody you can win with. I mean, you know, if we're like grading of some sort, I give him a solid B. I mean, he's a solid guy, man.
Starting quarterback,
right?
I didn't see really any negatives about his performance today, except one. Chris McCaffrey only had 3 receptions on 4 targets. Chris McCaffrey needs more than 4 targets a game, I think, and he overthrew McCaffrey on like a 3-yard.
Yeah, he did.
Hey, can I be Captain Obvious for a second? Guys, the Panthers generally score more touchdowns when Christian McCaffrey touches the ball more. Yeah, I don't know if anybody noticed that or not, but.
That's another thing. I know that Matt Rule and Joe Brady probably looked at the Panthers last year, and like a lot of people felt like that we overused McCaffrey. To that, I say, forget that. We pay that man $64 million a year. He's our best player, clearly. Give him the ball. He is clearly the difference in the Panthers in the first half and the second half. Was Christian McCaffrey.
Was McCaffrey getting the ball, basically.
That's literally it. And we almost won the game. He almost brought us back into the game. I hope Matt Rule learns from that mistake. This is the NFL. This is not college. You do not have to baby Christian McCaffrey. But I felt like, Bridgewater, I will say this. He didn't do anything that number 1 couldn't have done.
Now we're here.
Anything
we've arrived.
One couldn't have done.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. Say what you want about that.
Guys, here's something. Here's a player that I want to talk about because, you know, speaking of stupid penalties and not really having your head in the game, I really want to know what was up with DJ Moore today. I lost count how many drops he had today. I want to say maybe 3 or 4. There was a really dumb penalty in the end zone in the fourth quarter. You know, it's game 1, fellas. I don't want to overreact, but we're looking at DJ Moore as the undisputed number 1 on this team. Well, maybe it's arguably because of what Robbie Anderson did today, but
6
DJ Moore,
115 yards from Robbie Anderson,
which we're going to get to in a second, but regardless of what you want to argue about as far as number 1, number 2, we expect a lot more from DJ Moore. No pun intended. So I just want to know, man, what do you guys think? What's up with DJ Moore, man? Is it just lack of chemistry or bad game? Are we overreacting? What's up?
Frustration, man. I mean, it's a new atmosphere. It's different. There's no fans in the stadium. You didn't know where you're going to play 6 months ago or whatnot. He has to build that in-game chemistry with Teddy. It will come, but he just has to remain consistent and level-headed. You can't afford to lose your cool like that. We're not a good team where you should be picking up mindless penalties like that.
Right.
Coaching. You gotta dig in that guy after he makes a play like that. You got to. Now, they didn't show us on the sidelines what Matt Rule said to him, or if anything was said to him. But if I'm the coach, I'm be like, dude, what are you doing? DJ Moore's not a rookie anymore. This is his third season. We let him, when he had those mistakes as a rookie, the fumbles and that stuff, we said, okay, he's a rookie. Then last season, there was a little bit of improvement, but we said, okay, he's, new quarterback, Kyle Allen. Now, what's your excuse now? Oh, new coaching staff. He's got to do his job as a professional in the NFL, and Matt Rule has to do his job as a coach in the NFL. And if they can't meet in the middle, then Robbie Anderson will be there to take your place. Robbie Anderson had a hell of a game. He was getting open. He was doing something we hadn't seen Panthers wideouts doing in a while, and that was get separation.
Right.
Especially on that big 75-yard touchdown. I know it's just one game, but I like what I saw from Robbie Anderson.
And it's important to give some background on Robbie Anderson as well, man. You got to understand, man, this is Robbie Anderson, who was coming from a moribund franchise in the New York Jets, who, good God, we don't have to talk about their incompetence. But I say that to say, this is a guy who was really hungry to showcase his talents on a better team, man. This is a guy who has a lot of confidence in his abilities. This is a guy who was almost campaigning for himself to make the Pro Bowl last year because he, it rubbed people the wrong way, but he knew how good he was. You know what I mean? So Robbie Anderson's got a lot to prove, man. And I think with him being in this situation with Teddy Bridgewater, who is a good quarterback, we do have a good offense around him, man. I think we're going to see some really good things from Robbie Anderson going forward, man. I really do, man.
Imagine when Trevor Lawrence is thrown to him next.
So now we're here. All right, and another thing I want to throw out here, guys. What do you? I noticed in mainly the first half, man. Looks like we were actually trying to get Curtis Samuel involved in the offense a lot, man. I don't kind of just disappear in the second half.
I'm one of those people that believe that it is up to the players to get themselves involved in the offense, unless the defense. So the defense is keying in on Christian McCaffrey. So in situations like that, it's up to the coaches to get those players involved in offense. Hey, they're keying in on McCaffrey. Let's find a way to get him involved. They don't want him keying in on Curtis Samuel. He's wide open most of the game. It is up to him to get himself in the offense. And the reports that we heard from our sources coming from training camp and OTAs is that he didn't look so good.
Man, Kaiser, speaking to that, early in the game, I thought to myself, Robbie Anderson being here should take a lot of pressure off Curtis Samuel, because now you can stick Curtis Samuel in the slot, which he should be able to eat. He should be killing cats in the slot. You know what I mean? With his speed and with his experience on the outside, conventional thinking would say, okay, you put him in the slot, man, and he could be really successful. And 3 for 38 today, which is not even pedestrian. So, again, man, week one, but I still want to see more.
There were 8 targets to Curtis Samuel today, and he did have a catch for 19 yards. We know Samuel's ability, and I will say this: I feel like when North Turner was here, he realized that Samuel could be used in a dual role. Yeah, I'd like to see Joe Brady embrace that. Remember when the Panthers led the league in wide receiver reverses, and it wasn't by a little bit either. They were scoring off of them, and then they just, kind of went away with that. And I don't think we're going to see that anymore. I'd like to see it. and that's another. That's going to be the next thing I brought up is, barring the last play, how do we feel about Joe Brady's performance as offensive coordinator? I feel like he didn't really He didn't show us a lot. He didn't open up the play.
I don't think so, right?
Enough, and I feel like with no preseason, you really can't do that. You got to come out and be trying to win these games, because these are the games you need to be trying to steal, because there was no preseason. These first 4 weeks of the regular season is essentially the preseason.
Right. And it's just funny you say that, man, because, you know, like I said earlier in the show, man, it's hard for me to be objective only because of the way we lost. And I feel like it's Groundhog's Day, because how many times have we lost like this in the last 2 years? You know what I mean? So that part just kind of pisses me off, man. But if we're being fair, man, to Kaz's points, this is a coaching staff that's kind of learning on the fly. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. So who's to say that this offense is not going to evolve into something even better as the season goes along?
Especially once they get that chemistry and they start clicking.
Right.
People need to kind of fall into their role and kind of get used to that pecking order. We have to solve that tight end situation. I'm not confident in what we have in that room right now. We got to find a solution for that.
3 catches from tight ends today for 20 yards.
That's not going to cut it, man.
No.
Not cutting it at all.
And listen, but how spoiled have we been over the last decade, having one of the best
Hall of Fame tight end
who catches everything? You know what I mean?
I really think Ian Thomas can be that dude, though.
I mean, it's been 3 years, man. I don't know.
I don't know if he'll be as good as Greg.
No, he's not going to be Greg Olsen.
No, he's not going to be Greg Olsen.
Olsen's career is always going to be underrated because he was a Panther. If he'd been a Dallas Cowboy, oh my God, you know, they'd be talking about first ballot. But I'm not saying Ian Thomas can be Greg Olsen, but I think he can be a serviceable starting tight end in the NFL. I don't know why we haven't seen it yet, though.
Well, here's the thing, man. I think Ian Thomas is a bit polarizing because, like, you know, in previous seasons, we've heard even from coaching staff and even from players how much they believed in Ian Thomas's talent. You know what I mean? And, you know, he struggled with blocking and small details in his first 2 years. So like Rodney said, it's year 3. So this is if you're going to make a jump, so to speak, if you're going to make that impression, this is the year to do it. So again, week 1, you know, I'll give him the benefit of doubt. He's learning along with his coaching staff, but we got to see some marked improvement this year, man.
Guys, I got a question for you. Is Ian Thomas Malik Monk?
That is wow. That's actually a really good.
Yeah, I think the difference though is that Monk's issues are more, I think, up here.
Mental.
Yes. Yeah. And now that we know that he had some kind of drug issue, the details of which we're still unclear on, I think that had a lot to do with Monk's career so far. Whereas Ian Thomas, I think it could be a drive thing. And
he recently just learned how to play football too. That's like true. He hasn't been playing as long as the actual traditional player. So that it could just be getting up to speed with everything as well.
Right. And again, going back to what I said, man, along with this coaching staff, you know, how do they handle that? Because eventually we are going to have to see more out of our tight ends as far as, you know, getting open and blocking. Which, by the way, I thought the offensive line, we have to say, I thought they were pretty good today, man. I thought they did a decent job. They did, man.
They did. I noticed that early in the game, they did a pretty good job in pass protection. And that's why I was kind of tough on Bridgewater in our texts back and forth because he had a lot of time to throw.
Yeah.
And he was missing some throws that our previous quarterback would have gotten, you know,
roasted, raked over the coals for. Right.
So, but I felt like, the offensive line didn't do too poorly. In fact, the Raiders only had 2 tackles for loss and a sack today. Now the Panthers only had 1 tackle for loss and no sacks. It's gonna be a long season.
It's gonna be a long year, man. It's gonna be a long.
Can't wait for Trevor Lawrence to come.
Guys, I got a question, man. And it's probably harder than you think. With how the defense played today, What's the most concerning part of the defense for you? Is it the secondary? Is it the linebackers, or is it the D line? Which one is the biggest problem?
Okay, I'm gonna say linebackers, and the reason why is because we knew the secondary was gonna be trash. We all knew that. Nobody was expecting anything else from the Panthers. The front four, I think, will get there. Offensive and defensive lines always take time to gel. They've got to get those. They've got to learn. Hey, Derek Brown, who was the one that had the Panthers' only tackle for loss this afternoon, go figure. Once we figure, okay, he's going to eat up space in the middle. Once him and Short get that chemistry, that's going to open up the edges for Brian Burns to come off. So I'm going to say linebackers, because we talked about this the week before last. Shaq Thompson has got to do better. He's got to lead the linebacking. He's got to lead the whole defense. Now, he had 12 total tackles today, 5 solo, which is okay. Those aren't Luke Kuechly numbers. But here's what I noticed. Early in the game, the Derek Carr audibled when he saw the formation the Panthers were in. He audibled. And everybody on the Panthers defense looked at Shaq Thompson. Shaq Thompson just looked back at them. Like, I don't know. I don't know. And the Raiders ended up doing like a little screenplay for a first down or something like that. That's what we're missing. I'm not saying that he needs to be like Luke Kuechly and have like this telepathic sense of knowing what the offensive is doing. But when your teammates look to you for guidance, you got to make a decision. You got to say, no, we're going to stay in this formation, or hey, you guys slot. You got to do something. Yeah. And I think that permeates through the rest of the defense. That's why we saw that terrible penalty late in the fourth quarter that really kind of essentially lost us the game. We need better from our linebacker core, particularly Shaq Thompson.
I'm sorry, Rodney. Go ahead. I think you had something to say.
Man, I want to say the D line, man. We've got a long way to go. Brian Burns, he disappeared. I'm just kind of disappointed he didn't get any pressures. KK, didn't hear anything from him.
I didn't hear his name all day. I didn't hear Kawan Short's name all day, man.
He's supposed to be the veteran leader of that unit. I just don't know, man. I'm not confident in our backups. If we can't get any pressure to help out the secondary, it's going to be a nasty season. Especially we got to face Tom Brady next week. Think about that. You got to face Tom Brady next week.
Yeah, I'm skipping next week.
You
got to face Drew Brees and Michael Thomas, and then we got to face those bums in Atlanta. And Matt Ryan threw for 450 yards today. Think about that.
I know he's probably like, man, we lost today, but we play Carolina in a few weeks, so I might get like,
That's that bounce back.
It's the bounce back game. Yes, sir. It's a lot to be desired, but one player that caught my eye was Chin. Chin was everywhere on that field. He
led the team in solo tackles today.
Man, he's going to be a good one. He's going to be a good one.
And speaking of Jeremy Chin, man, like all the insiders at training camp has been singing his praises, man. And so to see that come to fruition today was a really good sign. He was a bright spot today. And what's funny about Jeremy Chin, he's a player. He's kind of like a hybrid corner safety type of guy. So you can stick him kind of anywhere on the field. That's a good weapon for us to have, man. And I'm anxious to see how he's gonna play, man. Going forward, man. I think he's gonna be a Troy Polamalu type of guy. I really do, man.
Yeah, it's gonna take some time. The coaching staff. I'm hoping that Matt Rule is different from Rivera in this way. I hope that he's willing to
let them play,
make changes. I saw, for instance, I saw a lot of nickel 3-3-5 today, and I'm kind of like, well, why would you run that? Considering they're running the ball down our throats. As one of our fans pointed out, Jonah Jacobs ran for 3 rushing touchdowns today. You don't come out in a nickel 3-3-5 in those situations, and I hope Matt Rule can look at the film and say, okay, you know what? Maybe this wasn't a good idea in this situation. Maybe we got to play to Jeremy Chin's strength and let him be the cover weak linebacker hybrid instead of Shaq Thompson, who
solid
questionable coverage skills today. I'm trying to have faith in Matt Rule because he's a rookie. I just hope that he looks at the college coaches that came before him in the NFL and see what didn't work for those guys. Don't be Pete Carroll and throw a 1-yard slant route with the game on the line when you got Marshawn Lynch, Christian McCaffrey sitting right there. So,
right.
$64 million, and you're not gonna let that man get an inch.
I really wish I would have researched how many carries Alex Arma had before today. And I mean total. I don't mean just
8, maybe 8.
Right, in his career. Let's be clear about that.
I'm look it up.
I would have rather them seen little Teddy Bridgewater take the snap and fall forward or something, a QB sneak or something like that, than or a fullback dive that you ran before. And here's the thing: when they ran that fullback dive before, he almost didn't get it then. He barely got it the first time. And yet you're an oppressor telling everyone how you just ran. Let me stop, man. Go ahead, Rodney.
So for his career, he only had 15 carries.
15 carries his entire career.
For 26 yards. Not even 2 yards carry.
So, guys, I have to say this, right? You do know what's coming, right? You do know who would have gotten that first down, right?
They mean the guy that broke the NFL record for most total rushing touchdowns? That guy? Said, we don't know if he's healthy or not, so we don't know if we're going to play. That guy?
It doesn't look.
The guy who threw for 78% completion percentage today?
I don't think Bill Belichick and the Patriots are too concerned about Cam's health today. Do you?
No.
Did it look like they were concerned about his body today? Really?
No.
I only watched bits and pieces of that game and, of course, the highlights. Did he not look like
he did? He looked
the
really
Camel
good.
old?
He looked fine to me.
Did he not look perfectly healthy?
Hey, Kaza, I have a bit of a nugget. Not only did Cam look healthy, you know what else he looked? Happy.
Oh, yeah.
When Cam Newton is smiling, okay, this is a dangerous guy, man.
He got a chip on his shoulder. He's happy. It's funny. I was watching the CBS pregame, and they all gave their Super Bowl picks.
Yeah.
And of course, nobody picked the Patriots coming out of AFC. It was all Baltimore.
Kansas City, yeah,
Pittsburgh. And I thought,
Pittsburgh,
y'all sleeping because the Patriots play in a historically easy division. The Bills are good this year, and that's really going to be there. But they'll probably put 2 teams in the playoffs. The Patriots will probably be one of them.
Yep.
If the Patriots mess around and get home field, I don't know, man. Cam just looked. I know it's the first game of the season, and it's the Dolphins. But like you said, Bill Belichick didn't seem too concerned about running Cam on bootlegs or any of that stuff. It was like he said, Cam, do what you do.
Just be you.
Us. Right.
Right.
All them times we played you, do that. And
it's amazing watching a coaching staff that's able to adjust to their talent. And I'm gonna leave it like that.
We might as well go 2 for 2. In former Panther, legendary Panthers. How do you take Dwayne Haskins and come back from 14 down? Your football team don't even have a name. You don't even have a name. You come back 2 touchdowns and win by 10 points. Congrats.
Hey, shout out to Ron Rivera, man.
Yeah.
Shout out to Greg Olsen for beating those buzzards down in Atlanta. And then also,
wait, did every former Panther win the damn game today? Is that a thing?
Hold on. I got one more. For you. Tom McDermott won today too.
Oh my God, man!
His Carolina Bills won.
We're cursed.
Hey, listen, Rodney, I was going to speak to your point real quickly, man. There was a tweet and I forget the young man who tweeted this, but he said, and his exact quote was, "What dumbass let Bill Belichick get Cam Newton?" I just like, you know what?
Yes.
What do you say to that, man?
It's funny because
the man who puts ketchup on the steak.
Remember when Cam was officially released? What did we all say?
Don't let Bill Belichick get Cam Newton.
We all knew where Cam Newton was going, and then they tried to, the Patriots. Oh no, we're just evaluating everybody. Hell no,
look, they were like Jarrett Stidham show.
Yeah, and then Cam Newton's been announced the official starter in New England.
Like no shit, Sherlock. Really?
Like some big quarterback competition. Come on. Now.
Right, man. Right, man.
I
got look. So going forward. We have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers next week, guys.
Predictions.
What are our expectations? Yeah, we'll do predictions. We'll go up some predictions too, man. Rodney, what you got, man?
Next week, another high scoring affair.
Yeah, I agree.
Where if we can't get pressure on Tom Brady, it's going to be like a 56-36 type game. Like I just, man, it's look. To one of you guys' point, we're an arena team this year. We're going to score 30, 35 to 40 points a game, and we're going to lose in exciting fashion.
Rule's going to get out-coached. That's actually going to be the difference. I don't think he necessarily got out-coached today. John Gruden has been okay since he's come back. But Bruce
I agree.
Really, really good coach. And I think that he's going to look and take one of our many –
yeah, I know, right?
Look at one of our many weaknesses and say, okay, that's the one we're going to attack. And if Dante Jackson isn't playing next week, it's going to be a massacre. Either that or they're going to look at our weakened linebacker core and put Gronk right in the middle of the field. It's just going to be – it's so many ways Tampa Bay can – we're not even talking about what their defense is going to do to our offense. I don't know.
Yeah, and actually, Rodney, man, I say over and over, and we all kind of state over and over how high scoring these games are going to be. I don't know about next week, bro, because Tampa Bay's got a pretty stout D line, man, and I don't know if I can expect this O line to kind of perform the same way they did this week. You know what I mean? So
we're quite acquainted with Shaquille Barrett.
Right. Who is healthy this year? So scary thought that is, man. So with that being said, man, if I had to make a prediction, dude, I'm probably nice about this. I go Tampa Bay 35-17, man. Honestly.
I think we'll get some garbage time. Ooh, sorry about that. Some garbage time points, and I just don't see how we come away.
I don't either.
Win or even being competitive. I just don't see it next week.
Oh, man. Well,
not at all.
This has been a pretty depressing segment, guys.
Dude, is there anything? So here's I'm thinking back to Ron Rivera's first game against Arizona Cardinals. Cam Newton's first game after a lockout. Very similar situation.
Yep.
Although there was a preseason that year, it was a very short preseason, shortened training camp, shortened OTAs
because of the lockout.
The lockout. So a similar situation. And even though we lost that game, I can't remember before or since being that excited about the team after a loss. Cam Newton comes out, throws 400-something yards, breaks the rookie record. It was a close game that came down to Patrick Peterson. Kick return or punt return for a touchdown. I was excited, even though the Panthers, we went 6-10 that year, but you could tell
a change was coming. The shift was coming. Right. Absolutely.
We've got none of that here. I don't feel any warm and fuzzies for the Panthers. And to Hamtastic's point, 30 on an opening day is impressive, but historically offenses have done well in these situations because, especially offensive with a good running back, because we're able to wear the defense down eventually. And once we figured out, hey, let's give the ball to McCaffrey, we're able to score points. I just don't feel like there are a lot of positives to take away from this game, but I just don't feel it like I did with the Cam Newton era.
Well, Kaz, let me speak to that real quick, man. And I think that's for a couple of reasons. The first reason and the obvious reason is you got rid of a Jake Delhomme to get a Cam Newton. That's number one. So that was excitement enough, as it was. And I think the second reason you just don't feel that much excitement is because, we're in a very unique situation with everything right now. And I just don't think the excitement for football, period,
You're
was
right.
is just not the same as it was back then either. You know what I mean?
Well,
Go ahead.
I was going to say, let's talk about the atmosphere of the game. Because
it's so weird, man.
The crowd noise.
Basketball. We'll get to that in a minute, but how much I'm not really a fan of the bubble playoffs so far. And watching an NFL game today, it was like, first of all, the fake crowd noise.
Awful.
Awful.
It didn't match.
Awful.
Awful. It was like you know how when you play Madden and like your team gets an interception but then your home crowd boos and you're like, what's y'all booing for? That's how it was today.
Hey, is Mick Mixon controlling the crowd noise? Whose job is that?
Whose job? And then they had a stadium announcer.
Temper's job.
There's a stadium announcer like, Panthers first down. I'm like, who are you announcing to, bro? Look, that guy, he got bills to pay too, but it's like really.
And me tell what's funny to me, like when they were doing the national anthem, they're like, the fighter jets are look up to the sky. The fighter jets are flying. Like
who? Who's looking? How much did that cost? It's a waste of money.
I'm wondering how much of an effect that has on the players. If there's no crowd, if the Panthers had a true home game, I think they might have won. Think about that fourth in interest play.
Absolutely.
73,000 fans, real fans screaming at you. That affects it does. Coaches want to say it doesn't, but it totally
it does. It does. And look, it definitely affects the away team, man, because you got to get those snap counts perfect, man. You got it. It's a vast difference between you having to yell any play changes to your linemen, to your receivers, versus them hearing everything you say, man. So there with no fans in the crowd, man, there's hardly any home field advantage for any team right now, and I think that showed itself today, honestly.
You know what? Let's use that to transition to the NBA, because one of the things that's bothering me about, although the basketball has gotten much better, the game
then it started out with
Boston was actually really good. Congratulations to Kemba Walker. We'll talk about him in a bit, but I'm wondering if these series would play out different if there was true home field advantage. I for one, I don't think Miami beats Milwaukee if they have to travel to Milwaukee and play.
Who has a great home court, by the way, who has some great fans.
They win that series, and this is kind of unfair to the higher seeded teams because that's what you fight for in the regular season, right? That's the whole reason why you play the regular season, is to get your seeding so that you can get home court advantage. And now you don't have that anymore, and it's kind of evening these series out. It really is. What are your guys' thoughts on bubble basketball in general in not having true home court advantage?
Like you said, the basketball has been getting better. I mean, that Boston Toronto series was really great. Me personally, I don't mind it, because I focus directly on the game, but I can see where it could be an issue to opposing players, or the players may need the home crowd to pump them up. I see where that can be an issue, but I mean, it's to me the biggest thing is the actual bubble. Like, we don't talk a lot about the mental health. Like, you're in the bubble with no contact to the outside world for like 2-3 months at a time.
I'm sorry, I can't, as a veteran, I can't give those guys any sympathy. I've been in a real bubble.
Yeah, right. I mean, we understand. Yeah.
Before the internet era, but no, I feel what
you're in the bubble with no booty, man. Come on, man.
I feel what you're saying. Plus, these guys are young millionaires. They're used to lifestyle. That lifestyle's gone.
You got an entourage of women.
Yeah, so
and you got to watch Pornhub now.
Actually, what's funny to me though is Russell Westbrook yelling at the fans. Saw that 10 fans at the game. What are you doing, bro?
What are you doing, Russ?
You yell at their family, bro.
Yeah, why you? Yeah, Why you yelling at Rondo's brother, man? Let that man live.
So, as far as the bubble basketball, I mean, I agree with both of y'all. The basketball itself has gotten a lot better. I pointed out on my solo video last week, man, how Paul George came out with a statement a few weeks ago, basically saying that he's been battling depression and some anxiety. A lot of that has to do with this bubble. And a lot of times, man, we do forget that these players are human beings with human needs. You know what I'm saying? They're struggling with coronavirus just like we are. They're having to adjust just like everyone else is. You know what I'm saying? And I think that more so has an effect than the actual play on court without the fans. Now, from a fan perspective, from Jamal the fan, I actually love all the fanfare. I love crowds. I love home court advantages. I love, when the teams go on runs and the crowd gets really into it. I love all that stuff. It adds to the element of basketball, and I do think it does affect players. You really get to see players' characters. When those crowds are mean and they're at you. You know what I'm saying? So I do think it has an effect. And I do agree with Kazim, man. I think it kind of levels out the playing field now. But at the same time, it is an unfair advantage to a number 1 seed or a number 2 seed who fought to get that seed, and now you don't have that advantage. And I think we're seeing that now. To a lot of fans, that actually may be a good thing, because NBA fans, how much have we cried over parity? Through for the longest time. You know what I mean? So if it is creating parity, that in itself is a good thing. However, still may be unfair to the teams who fought to have the higher seeds.
Agreed. I agree.
Absolutely. Yeah. Bubble basketball, it's going to change if scenery will do. It's like when people leave Charlotte professional sports teams, they go on to achieve
be successful, experience new things.
It's very, very
troubling.
Yeah, it's very, very
sad.
Troubling. Think about all the NBA, especially NBA players. I remember thinking Boris Diaw was a flop. He was a bust. He was. He goes to San Antonio and has the series of his life in the NBA Finals and wins a chip.
Hey guys, let me tell you what's going to happen. Next, about the halfway point after All-Star break, now Charlotte Hornets are going to buy out Nick Batum. He's going to sign with the Golden State Warriors as a free agent.
Yep.
And he's going to hit the game-winning shot in the finals.
Yep.
It's going to happen. Book it, man.
Hey guys, let me tell. Hey fellas, let me tell something. Y'all know I love y'all, man. But if that happens, I quit. I'm not doing the podcast anymore. If that happens, man, I quit, man.
We know what's gonna happen. So I mean, not to be fair as you could possibly be to Charlotte. I mean, Boston as a team that had been in the ECF 2 of the previous 3 years. Very telling stat is that the only time they didn't make it to the ECF was when they had a healthy Kyrie Irving. Now he leaves. Kemba takes his place, and they make it back to the ECF. That's and
let me speak to that really quickly, man, because I want to do some foreshadowing real quick. I want to do some looking ahead real quick. Let's go to next season when Kyrie comes back healthy and KD comes back healthy to the Brooklyn Nets.
Whew.
Who would not predict the Nets and the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals next year? Think about how awesome that's going to be next year.
That would be a good series.
Nasty.
Especially if we see a further ascension of Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. I said this on the show a few weeks ago. When you face Boston, you got to figure out how you're going to match 60 points. And that ended up being the reason why Toronto lost.
Right.
It came down to it. They just couldn't. I've been a Kyle Lowry hater for a long time. But
Same.
He had a pretty good series from a scoring
he's
standpoint.
A dog, man.
He really tried. Him and Fred VanVleet had great scoring performances, but when it counted, they fell short because they just couldn't match. The
talent.
The
talent. Yeah.
So whereas next season, presumably, you have Kyrie Irving and KD, who would be. Just the two of them alone will be able to match Boston's 60 points from three of their starters. So,
and let me tell you why that was even more important to get that from Tatum and Brown. It's funny you mentioned how Charlotte athletes go somewhere and they get so much more attention and light because damn, Toronto, Nick Nurse said, you know what, that Kemba Walker guy sure is killing us. That dude sure is good. Let me run a boxing one against a point guard, which effectively worked. Kemba Walker struggled the last 2 games.
Yeah.
So Tatum and Brown, with them having their 60 points, it was necessary. It had to happen. You know what I mean? So I'm happy. I'm happy for Kemba Walker, but I also just want to kind of give a shout at to people who are like, oh man, Kemba Walker, he's this and he's that. No, he's what he's always been. He just plays for a better team with a better system, and now he's getting the attention he's probably should have deserved the whole time, man.
He's the ultimate teammate. He knows he can acquiesce to a guy like Jason Tatum, who is an ascending superstar in the league.
Which is why, even with Kemba struggling, Brad Stevens was still trusting him enough to give him those minutes down the stretch.
Absolutely.
Even though he struggled shooting the ball, Kemba Walker was still making positive plays for the Celtics.
Kemba made big plays. He got really robbed because
game 5. Game 5.
The Raptors hit really.
He got fouled.
Kind of a fluky, last second 3 to win the game. Kemba had made an incredible play the last possession. And then he essentially did the same thing in game 7.
With that bounce pass, man.
ISO drives, finds the open player under the basket. He missed the free throws, but Jason Tatum was able to get the rebound and hit the 2 free throws to ice the game. And then Kemba Walker makes 2 free throws to essentially win the game. And to your point about the boxing one, it's so funny because when teams used to run that against the Hornets, fans would act like James Borrego was
the problem.
Spawn of Satan because he didn't figure out how to stop a boxing one. The only way to stop a boxing one,
somebody got to step up,
is to have other talented players who hit shots. Yes.
That's something that we don't have in Charlotte. I want to ask you guys a real quick question. This is Hornets related, okay?
Yeah.
Because I had kind of half joking talked about the Hornets using the abundance of cap space they will have next year to possibly see if Giannis Antetokounmpo would be interested in coming to Charlotte. And someone said, well, it would be the Kemba situation all over again. You have one star player and a bunch. So I thought Giannis, PJ, Miles, Rozier, and Graham versus Kemba, Batum, Zeller.
You can stop right there. You can stop.
That's what I'm saying.
but to even acquire Giannis, you would have to give up at least 3 or 4 of those pieces.
Here's why. But listen, here's why I don't think it would be the Kemba situation, even if you give up 3 pieces. Okay. Now I have to say this is not likely, and we're probably in fantasy land a little bit. But let's play this game a bit. All right. Let's say the Hornets dangle a first round draft pick and 2 or 3. You have to keep Terry Rozier or Devontae Graham. I'll put that caveat out there.
I keep one of those. Yeah.
I don't think it's the Kemba Walker situation just for that reason alone. You know what I mean? You got 2 guys who at least, can hit big shots in crunch time moments. You know what I'm saying? The focus, you can't run a boxing one on Giannis Antetokounmpo and ignore Devontae Graham and Terry Rozier. You couldn't do that. So for that reason, I don't think it would be a Hornets situation. We damn sure make the playoffs. We're not an 8th, 9th seed with Giannis on this team. So no, I don't think it would be a Kemba Walker situation.
So let me back up. So recently Giannis unfollowed, I guess, everybody, which I don't know who monitors that shit, but
right.
he unfollowed everybody. Say he demands a trade. And Milwaukee is like, oh shit, we got to restart. Man, look, I would.
You got to pick up the phone. You got to pick up the phone, man.
I'll be like, hey, I want this 3rd pick.
No. I'm taking it the other way. Go get Chris Middleton.
That works, but no. I'll say this. That works but that would be disappointing. And I'm going to tell you why. There's nothing against Chris Middleton, nothing against him. At some point, y'all, and y'all know we're realistic about this thing. We know the process, okay? We know how this thing works. At some point, though, the Hornets, with this abundance of cap room, have to at least attempt to make some type of real splash, okay? I mean, a real one. And I don't know if they're probably not at that point yet. We probably don't have the requisite pieces to attract somebody like that yet. But at some point, you got to just try, man. Look, let me give you one example. Rodney. When the Houston Rockets acquired James Harden, that was not a good team, okay? They said, look, we got money. You want to come or you don't. You want to believe in what we can build or you don't want to. It's simple as that, man.
Let me tell you something, I look, I'm just putting this out there. This is off record. Whatever. It's on the record. I don't give a shit. I'm not going to tell the sources, but somebody said that the Hornets were offered that second pick. What was Michael Kidd-Gilchrist
for James Harden? Yeah,
James Harden said, "Hell no, I'm not coming to Charlotte." But
that's the Bobcats. Yeah, who expected that?
I'm just telling you, man. Like Houston, like with Houston is a whole different thing. Like Houston is a different market, bro.
I know that.
Houston has championship pedigree, and Houston is Houston, man. Like,
well, it depends. You've got Charlotte's going to have to find that free agent that says that I can take that team, a friend,
and make that better, right?
And make them a contender, which is hard to do in today's NBA. That's
you got to draft him. You got to draft him
because we're all thinking Giannis, if he leaves, he's going to want to go to a team that's already contending for a championship.
Miami, Toronto,
because Milwaukee. This remains to be seen, but I don't think they're the Hornets. If you remove Giannis from the equation, they're us. 7th to 9th seed with some talent. One really, really good player in Chris Middleton and a bunch of solid pieces. But I don't know we don't know if that's the case with Giannis or not, because he's never been anywhere but Milwaukee.
I think we all can agree on this point. Our fortunes will change once we got to stop hitting singles and doubles with these draft picks, and we got to start hitting some triples and home runs. Once we do that, we can really talk about attracting some big time talent here, man.
Mitch Kupchak, and this is getting underlooked with all the talk about who we should pick with number 3. Mitch's last 2 drafts are underrated, really underrated.
I agree.
Where he picked. And to get the talent that we got, and we can debate Miles Bridges versus Michael Porter and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. We can really debate that all day, but even just in a vacuum, Miles Bridges can ball. He's not a bad. He wasn't a bad pick.
He wasn't a bad pick.
Number 12, number 13 pick?
Yeah.
Pretty good pick. Yeah. So I'm happy with what Mitch has built from our draft so far, because it's much harder to pick. I can't give GMs any credit. I'm not ever going to give Cleveland's GM any credit for picking LeBron James.
No, because that's not anything to think about. Right.
Or Kyrie.
Right.
Anthony Bennett instead. That.
Right. Right.
So, the picks that GMs make in outside of the lottery, to me, that's really where Mitch is going to show his value. It's where he picks 3rd. I think the Hornets will be okay with whoever they pick. We're going to get Wiseman or Ball or Edwards. You're going to get one of those 3, and I think we'll be fine with whichever of those 3 we pick. I don't think there'll be the picks that take us over the top, though.
No.
Right.
Next year.
I agree. Guys, I got one more thing to say about the NBA in general, the NBA bubble. And, 2020 has been a really crappy year, and I think it's going to get crappier from my viewpoint, and I'm going to tell you why it's going to get crappier.
I know why.
I would like to congratulate the Charlotte Mecklenburg bandwagon Lakers fans in advance, because they're going to win.
They're going to win the championship.
Yeah. They're going to win.
They're winning.
The main reason I say that, let me take that back. Doc Rivers and the Los Angeles Clippers are frauds. I don't care if they win Tuesday night. I don't even care if they win the series. Frauds. Los Angeles Lakers fans, whether you're real or fake, congratulations. I don't see anybody beating them. That's my final take for the NBA bubble. So I'm ready to move on when y'all are.
Actually, that's we're at an hour. I think that's
Transition.
gonna do it for us. I got to drink. Now it's drinking time.
It's drinking time.
After what happened from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m.
It's drinking time. Yes, sir.
Shout outs or shout outs before we go.
I'll let you go first, Rodney.
I'm gonna shout out versus tonight. I'm gonna watch Auntie Patty and Auntie Gladys duel it out. I'm about to cook me some pork chops and some mac and cheese and some green beans, and I'm about to eat good tonight.
I'm gonna shout at Rodney Kaiser. You know why I'm gonna shout at Rodney? If I see one more damn picture with all this good stuff on the grill and me and you don't get no invite, what's up with that, man?
Bro, I
know we're in a pandemic. I know we're in a pandemic, man.
COVID's out there.
But can we do a drive-by pickup plate, man? Like, is that see how you do, man? But anyway, I do have another shout. I do have another real shout at. I want to shout at the absolutely ridiculous, racist Toronto fans for what you all are saying about Pascal Siakam. That is completely unacceptable, man. I don't even look. If you don't know what these fans are saying about him, just go look it up because I don't even want to repeat it. It's so terrible, man. It's 2020 and we're still dealing with this stuff. I'll just leave it at that, man. Shout at the Kansas City Chiefs fans. I'll just leave it at that as well. Shout out to everybody who's continuing to support under construction, man.
For sure. I'm gonna give a real quick shout out to. So I woke up far too early this morning to watch the Tuscan Grand Prix. You guys know I'm an F1 fan, and Lewis Hamilton won again.
Again, yes, sir.
Again. Got up on the podium, cornrows and everything. And normally when you win, you got your racing suit on, but he had a T-shirt on that said "Arrest the police that killed Breonna Taylor."
Breonna Taylor, yes, sir.
And you know, it's good to see him and Naomi Osaka, who won the U.S. Open. They both made similar statements about how the sports that they play in are international. F1 is an international sport. In fact, they will not be racing in North America this year due to COVID-19 concerns. Wow. And they both said something to the effect of internationally, people are not aware of what's really going on here in the United States. Yep. They're just not aware. So we want to bring awareness to international fans who may or may not care, but that just goes to show that these people are international stars, and they're like, I don't care what these fans internationally think of me. I want to bring awareness to. I mean, Lewis Hamilton isn't even from the United States. He's from the UK, and he's like, look what's happening to Black people in America. So shout out to those guys for helping to bring awareness, which is what all we can really ask a professional athletes to do, and it's up for us to do the heavy lifting.
No doubt, man.
I think here on the ground level. So once again, thank you everyone to our fans who continue to support us. We love you guys.
Good show today, fellas.
Yeah, hopefully we won't be too drunk after Tampa Bay smashes the Panthers. I'm gonna start drinking
I probably gonna start drinking at 12:30 or something, man. Yeah.
Y'all take care of each other and yourselves.
Peace out, y'all.
Stop the violence.